Jacob Collier recently collaborated with Taylor Guitars and finally released his version of the guitar instrument with 5 strings, different tuning, and in this video I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to explain how the guitar works and talk about what you can do with it and how this innovation can move the guitar instrument forward and what it can mean for us. I have not bought this guitar, I have a normal 6-string, but I tune it in the same way. And what I did is that the G and the B string are the same note. I'll explain in a second. So, as Jacob is explaining, and a great video to watch is his interview with Paul Davids on Paul Davids' channel, where they talk for about 40 minutes about Jacob's guitar. Definitely check it out, I'll put the link in the description. The tuning is pretty simple, so he tuned the top string down to D, then the next string stays the same, this is A, then the next string, normally D, is tuned up to E, so we have D, A, E, then the normally G string is also tuned up to A, then I tuned the B string down to A, so we have AA on my 6th string, but normally this other string wouldn't be there, and the bottom string, bottom normally E, is also down to D. So as Jacob likes to say, it's kind of symmetrical. There is the E in the middle, and from the E we have A and D's on both sides. So it's a beautiful kind of unintuitive for us normal guitarists tuning, but it kind of makes sense. It's really interesting. What I like about the fretboard of his guitars, which I didn't have the chance to try it, but I can imagine what it feels like when you play, for example, a classical guitar. You also have more space between the strings, and that seems to be the case for his guitar too, that there's a little bit more space to bend strings and to move in between those chords. And if you have long fingers like Jacob does, that's definitely useful. So if you just strum from the strings as open tuning, it sounds like this. Quite nice in and of itself, but it's not like some of the open tunings you might know where you play open strings and you have already full chord. These tunings are great and effective in playing in one key in particular, usually, but they are usually limiting if you want to branch out into different keys and play interesting and complicated harmonies. This tuning seems to be really versatile in a similar way as the traditional guitar tuning. As Jacob mentioned in his interview, the top 3 strings are tuned in the interval of the 5th, so similarly like you would have violin, for example. So this is D, D to A is the 5th. So for example, you can play power chords just with one finger. And then A to E is also 5th. That gives you the relationships you can find on violin, but also easy way to play guitaristy rock stuff up there. And now the bottom 3 strings, intentionally mentioning top 3 and bottom 3, with the E string, the middle one, being mentioned twice, because as Jacob said, it's sort of like a axis in the middle. So from the E string to A string, now we have interval of 4th, which we can know from normal guitar tuning, where the thickest string is E, and the second thickest is A. That happens here, so E to A. And then from the A, which I doubled here, so on my 6-string guitar I tune the G 1 step up and the B 1 step down. And then we go from A to D, and that is also interval of 4th. So these bottom 3 strings now give you things like this. Which is very similar to what you can do on normal guitar. You just need to kind of recontextualize where you are on the guitar based on the different tuning. But this gives you pretty normal guitar sound, and then at the bottom it gives you different options in terms of the bass. Very interesting, very fun to explore. So let me now show you a few chords and voicings you can play on this guitar, so you can detune your guitar or buy this Jacob's guitar and start experimenting yourself. One of the first things we learn on normal guitar is few open chords. Usually we start with like E minor, that allows us to use only 2 fingers. And since the lowest strings here, the lowest note on this guitar, on this tuning, is D, I'm going to show you how to play D major and minor chords. So it's actually really, really simple. This is our D. This is already our A, so that's the 5th. And the next note is E. So for D major chord, for example, I need the note F sharp. And the note F sharp will conveniently be on the 2nd fret right here. Then let's check the remaining 2 strings. The next one is A, which fits, and the next one is D. So I can simply play D major chord just by holding one finger on the 2nd fret on the 3rd string from the top, which is now tuned as E. So, or if you have the original guitar, that would be the middle one. And here you have D major chord. For those of you music nerds who know how music theory works, you know that if you now move this F sharp, otherwise called the 3rd of the chord, 1 semitone down, means to the left, you will have the note F and therefore minor chord. So this would be D minor. So D major, D minor. Really, really simple and convenient. You can obviously move this around. So I can turn it into a simple bar chord and start playing all basic major and minor chords across the fretboard. So if I barred the 2nd fret and added 4th fret on the middle string, on the 3rd string from the top, I would have E major. Looks kind of like a simple bar chord, like a minor bar chord from the normal tuning. But here is major. And in a similar way, if I again move this finger closer, 1 semitone lower, I have E minor. One quite interesting voicing that Jacob shared in the interview I mentioned is this, which if I didn't have the extra string I could just play. This is more extended and richer version of the D minors. In terms of learning scales on this, if you are familiar with violin, the top 3 strings will be really easy for you. For example, D major would look like this. Then different pattern on the next one. And surprisingly simple here is the A major scale. Same pattern on the A string, and then very simply you can do things like that in A major. I hope this video was helpful for you if you're exploring interesting tunings on the guitar, or you're considering to buy this one, or maybe you want to try it on yours first and then decide whether you want to buy it or not, because I'm not sure how useful it is for different tunings. You can do this with your normal guitar, but you won't have the features as I mentioned earlier, more space between the strings, the ability to use your 5 fingers for 5 strings. You know, I still have 1 extra string here. Jacob Collier often talks about how he thought it was inconvenient, and he thought, obviously I have 5 fingers, so I would need 5 strings, right? That's probably a bit of a pianist thinking, where your fingers are all useful, not like us guitarists, where we only use usually 4 of them in the left hand and barely any in the right. So let me know in the comments whether you like the sound, what other voicings and interesting chords you discovered on it. Also let me know how you like Jacob's latest album, where this guitar is, I believe, very widely used. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, give this video a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee through Buy Me a Coffee website, or join the channel membership, where you can get early access to my videos as well as some additional content. And I'll see you in the next one. Keep it funky.